does perfect even mean? Is there even such a thing? Ooh, can we switch up all the rules and imagine a utopia? Darling, I'm just so fed up with these expectations. They keep weighing me down. My heart is begging me to get the hell out of my head. I'm gonna live inside the upside down for a minute and pretend, honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, whoa, honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, whoa, and if I say it enough, it gets ingrained in my head, and I start to see, honey, I'm a perfect 10. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, honey, I'm a perfect 10. Honey, I'm a, yeah.
I'm on my own, broken and alone. I feel the rain crashing down all around this empty town. I'm searching for the lost and found, but you don't care, you're unaware. Keep moving like the scars aren't even there. It's in the air like a blazing flare. Don't stare 'cause the flames will burn us. I thought you were the one for me. That's why I gave you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me. I used to kiss your head when you cried for me. Hold your hand while the pain was over. Keep you warm by the roaring sea. You meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. My darling dear, you're never here. When I'm in pain, you hide and disappear. Like shadows in the atmosphere, charting the stratosphere. Yeah. I prayed for you and kept you near in hopes you'd chase away my fears. I'm on my own, you made it so, and now I'm chasing nightmares through. I used to run with you through the great big leaves, laugh at you when you laugh at me. Hope for us because I believe the home was just you and me. I thought you were the one for me. That's why I gave you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me.
Do you remember how you held me then? Now you got me reaching out. And do you see you got me falling in more times than I can get out. Down in the deep of my mind, I crawl for you and you're always you know I never will. No, so I choke you down just like a pill.
Charge up your game with excitement. Highest odds on the market. Coverage of all live and pre-match events. Place your bets with Solid Bookmaker and win with your favorite teams. Take what's rightfully yours with GG.bet.
Immediately live and immediately hopping in with Merbit, finding a frog into Dennis. Ta-da. There we go. No further delay. Sprout has picked this map, and Sprout needs to show us what they are made of. And Merbit starts off with 2 kills. Tapson doesn't seem to be 100% known. Wants to fight Merbit so desperately. Finally does that. And the bomb in the meantime. Oh. Mitch?
Hello.
Did the game restart for you as well?
I'm just jumping in still. We had a little bit of a bug there. That's why we were jumping in late, because both of our games just shut down, which was really weird. Got a virus. Thanks a lot, CS.
Classic. And in the meantime, CS is not going to really reward big in this one, as they're able to jump on it immediately. Faven gets the kill onto Tapson, and therefore Sprout remain strong.
And I'm in.
Nice.
I made it. Just for the end of that, 1-0. At least it's a good start from Sprout, because that's really what we needed to see. The fact that you're seeing them get stomped out in the first map, it is Big's map pick, and you can look at it, you can say, look, yeah, they don't win it a whole lot, but they do pretty well on it. We had a slow start. Didn't get a whole lot. We're not maybe too comfortable on Overpass in general, but now they're on Mirage, a map where they definitely feel comfortable. They played a lot throughout Meisterschaft and indeed throughout just regular HLTV games.
You said that very beautifully.
I've been practicing, Zesh.
Meisterschaft.
Impress you.
Oh, it's close enough. I would call it Meisterschaft, but you know.
That sounds exactly the same as what I said to me. So it's never going to improve.
You said a very shaft, you know?
Meisterschaft.
Meisterschaft. Yeah, it works right. I'm going to accept that. You know, it's fine. It's fine.
As an Irishman, this is the closest I've ever gotten.
No, it's okay. Really, you've done amazing, Mitch. I'm certainly proud of you.
I'm proud of Sprout right now. Not getting second round destroyed, but at least Big Clan, they're not too worried about losing the second round because they intended it. They gave it over, taking the eco, and now they've got 4 Augs out on an M4, a little bit of utility to play around with. So it's not a bad buy at all. And both teams, in fact, come in here pretty even, if not a small advantage towards Sprout having the op, but that's taken away by the fact that Merbit's on a Mac 10. So a nice balance in things.
Yeah, right. And I mean, we're going to talk about the map pool in just a second. In the meantime, Dennis and Co. Let's see if they're going to prevail on this one. I think a quick 2-map series is most definitely the thing Big wants, because they want to establish themselves as the best German team. It's up for discussion recently, and now Tusian finds the first. Looks to get a little bit more into the position to stay arcane, and Tapson is the supporter you need. It's your teammates, don't worry. And suddenly, things turn sour to some degree, but Speedy falls down. And this, dear Mitch, is where I'm going to present you with the right stats. Big Clan played this map 7 times and won it 3 out of 7 times. Sprout with 19 occurrences on this map in the last 3 months and winning 10 out of 19.
Do you feel confident, Zesh, coming into this, that Sprout have got the ability to walk away with a victory here? You think they've got it in the bag?
Yes, I think they should be able to. But in the meantime, what bothers me is Big playing this, like we're talking about it, 7 times in the last 3 months. First of all, which I find very, let's say, weird, is that the last time they've won it is now more than a month ago against X3D Max and against Hellraisers. Both teams I would rate somewhere around Sprout. So I would say Sprout would be able to beat Hellraisers and X3D Max anytime. The funny part is for me, and this is a very shocking number, when Big Clan is getting the first kill, right, the entry, they're only winning 65% of the rounds. That is a number which is shockingly low.
Yeah, I think, though, that could be very much put down to the fact that they've had two super one-sided losses versus Navi, who really punished them, even though, they played a little bit more of a hectic style. I'm sure they offered up a lot of opening kills to Big, but afterwards, they're punishing them pretty heavily in the rounds where they did find openings. So I think when you have those super one-sided losses, like up against Valiance as well, 16-5, it's going to really eat your statistics away. I mean, we saw the same from them over on Overpass,
right,
where things looked really bad for them, but they're playing against a higher level of team that can punish them a little bit more harshly. Talking about punishing, though, Keto with the deagle shot onto Zanterra is at least getting a little bit of damage done to Big on such a low buy for Sprout.
Yeah, that was a punishment. You could really put that in as a punishment. And this is a perfect round where I want to talk about something with you, Mitch. Realistically speaking, this round is not going for Sprout. And therefore, I want to know from you, do you think I sound a little bit like Nothing from Cloud9? I heard it often.
Perhaps the German version. The thing is, I know you very well. Like I've heard you a lot,
right.
We've met a bit, so I'm kind of familiar with your voice. But I can definitely see where it's coming from, though.
I read it a few times.
Some twinges there, yeah.
But I can't do the flashbang dance. Speedy might do the one-tap dance. Not really. In the meantime, Tizian just ready, but the A side is in danger. Gorb got to do it pretty much on his own, and Faven on the edge, eliminated.
I love the accent. He's amazing.
What accent?
The danger.
Danger. It really mixes it up. I can't tell you what's going on. It's
croc in the water.
Hey, you torsa.
Mixing it around. Yeah. The other thing I would say, Zesht, that you have over Nothing. If anything, you dress far better than he does.
Thank you very much. You
may be the best dressed man in esports. I'm not going to lie.
I mean, with the shirts you wear on purpose, I think it's not that hard.
Oh, come on. You know you're jealous of that weather pattern shirt. It's beautiful.
I saw Tombis tweeting out with an egg shirt. In the meantime, shout out to Tombis and shout out to Golf finding the frag onto Faven. 4 more to go for Sprout, and Golf can't feel it for a second. Either way, the CTs might be able to prevail, but right now it's shockingly down to only 2.
Indeed it is. Dennis and Tizian to try and pull this back, and a round that's gone awry for Big Clan for sure. They're spread out, one towards window and one pushing on up. It's Tizian trying to catch an angle on the middle players. Spitty is lurking around, waiting for an angle to open up for him, waiting for someone to peek on short as Tizian contemplates the aggression. He's playing passive, though, just watching the connector push to make sure Dennis won't be completely destroyed by players that have maybe come up close. And posted up with the AWP, he's definitely got the chance with 50 seconds left. Sprouts still have the bomb towards the top of middle and haven't decided where they want to take things. The only thing I would say is that Tizian now backed off towards the bomb site and forced to do so by the lack of information. It leaves them in a bit of an awkward situation where it's all on to Dennis to hold this site down. He needs to find at least 2 kills really as they push towards the bomb site to allow them to have a 2v2 retake. And even then it will be difficult to come in with the AWP. Dennis starts to rotate through to jungle or CT spawn. So more than likely going to be the save unless he can get over here and find a frag very, very quickly.
Yeah, very, very quickly indeed. But I doubt it's not really going to see that happening at this point in time. Murbit is going to force Dennis even further back, and the most realistic approach from Big is saving this one up. And that is going to be Sprouts taking the number 3. They seem fairly more competitive so far. But I mean, if I remember correctly, the beginning phase off Overpass, we also saw them bounce back from time to time. Either way, Big now on the CT site, a bit more CT-sided anyway, so you would expect them to start with dominance. They can't at the moment. The follow-up round, if I see it correctly, Mitch, should still allow somewhat of a buy. I mean, Tizian could drop a FAMAS. Tapson could buy. Xantaris maybe left out in this one. It's going to be a very interesting call in the end.
You know, the thing, like you said, there's early on in the previous map, it was competitive, but when we've come to the buy rounds, that's where Sprout have pulled ahead and started to look like where Pig Clan have pulled ahead, started to look like a far stronger team. Sprout struggled on the majority of their buy rounds.
Right.
And indeed, even when they found them, they couldn't string them together. And that was a major problem for them, getting no momentum. So moving into the later stages, the mid to late half, that's where I start to see Big really dominating. They've got a little bit more utility to work with in this round, and Dennis again, obviously on the AWP. A small weakness in the form of a FAMAS on Gob B, but outside of that, this should be a round that they take. And if they don't,
right,
especially with the fact that they do generally perform better on the CT side, then we can start to really believe in Sprout, as they should get a 5-2 lead off the bat.
That would be very decent indeed, and that would be something they would be most likely looking for. But either way, it's, first of all, coming down to the mid control, and they're going to easily take that. It's probably a very, very slow approach, which costs them some time, but in the end could be so astute and intelligent that it works in the end. Xantares towards middle, might just do the wrong peek. Sirson is there to guard his teammate, and the flashbang, is that the perfect support? That's the question. Xantares is blind, moves out, but Gob strikes. And that is towards main. This puts Sprout under pressure, as now the realization of Big Clan sets in. Nothing is coming towards the B side. And Xantares with the M4, ready as always. Takes down 2. Sirson probably going to say goodnight anytime soon. I don't have high hopes in him. Zito pushes through to be taken out.
Xantares again getting off to a good start. He finished the first half of the last map with like 20 kills, or very close to it. And now rocking in 5-4. Big round from him there. And indeed, I hate the big round. It wasn't an intended pun, I'm sorry.
Go on.
A large play. An impactful one. Let's go with that. Because Sprout now don't have the best of buys coming into this.
Right.
But more importantly, Big have avoided just being destroyed. If they lost that round, Sprout would get off to a 5-2 lead. It would be a dominant one. They'd have the chance to build their economy up even further. And things would start to look very scary for the CT side. But now with that, there was a crucial round under their belt. They need to avoid being picked apart by this buy coming through from Sprout. They've got pistols. We've seen them win this. I mean, round number 2 of Overpass, they won with a very similar buy.
Yeah, but talking about a very similar buy, Xantares then strikes, Dennis commits as well, and as the murder on site happens, the bomb down is uncomfortable. They know about a top mid player by now, which basically should give them an idea that somebody needs to be left alive on the A side. It's only him. Now go for the defuse. Someone send in first, and Murbit, nobody cares about him anymore. Talking about that, nobody cares about Murbit. So Xantares taps his head away. Big Clan in the lead on the CT side. There where they tend to prevail a little better. There where they tend to remain stronger. Funio-wise, Sprout even a more CT-sided team. Beating Optic, for example. And I think that's a funny story to beat Optic, actually, on Mirage. Either way, 16-12 with more of a CT focus from Sprout. It's going to be very interesting. In case Big stick to this, let's say we see a 9-6, hypothetically. If Sprout actually is able to bounce back so massively once they switch over to CT, in case it turns sour, of course.
So I think so far we've seen the majority of opening duels go towards Big, which is a big change from the previous map, where Sprout were the ones dominating early round. This time again, that comes through with the opening for Dennis. Gob B returns a second, so a 2-man advantage, and the op keeps on fragging.
Ouch.
With Keto down, Sprout almost lose any chance to win this, as they're both coming through ramp, and Murbit's 13 HP. Searson's not much better now.
No, it could be just 1 or 2 shots in the chest of each, and story then told. And now Taps and Tizian and Xantares pretty much trying to find the final one. Sirson doesn't even need a scope. Mouse 1 is all he needs. And now he has the bomb on his back. I think you don't want to call it off yet, though realistically speaking, he should and would not be able to obtain control. And he got to make a decision anytime soon. I mean, safe is also somewhat legit if he wants to do that, but 40 more seconds, it's not going to be the best.
Super time limited. He has to hope a mistake is made with that scope in hand, looking towards the A bomb side. If he can at least get a bomb plant down, it'll give them a better spot to play from in future rounds, as this round did take a pretty heavy hit to their economy, which was built up over the last couple. He wants a frag before he goes for that plant, but Dennis is playing pretty passive. Knows that he's already lit Searson down. USP in hand, swings out, spots the plants being stuck, and a bit of a poor decision. I mean, you had a chance, right, that they weren't going to be playing from connector, from short, from mid. And he assumed someone was just going to be tucked in CT. But without that coming through, also, it would have given him the best chance of a post plant, really. If he's in CT, he's very narrow when he goes out for the peaks to stop the bomb from being diffused. But if it's planted open, he can go to ramp. He can hold long range from there with the op. He can go down connector if they happen to be both rotating through CT and have a really good chance again. But risk reward, it didn't pay off this time.
And Tapson, here's the steps. Speedy is taking the left lane on the Autobahn, and his AMG is in this case not too fast. Has to be brake checked more likely. And Merbit spotted TCN a bit intimidated either way. That flashbang of Faven. Well, it's not going to come in yet. He waits it out. But those pistols shouldn't make a change. The upgraded equipment for Sprout, I would be very surprised if they find number 4 right now. The Arc of TCN is ready. Support from Centaurus is granted. And there they find the first. Keto can't even take down a low HP player as he's bleeding out of every single hole. Centaurus is going to take the rest. And Faven should be saying good night.
I like Tizian moving away from the bomb side on low HP.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to be taken down by just a random nade flung in or a player jumping around with a Glock spamming towards him. And carrying over all those weapons gives Big Clan a much better economy to play from. They've got a big buffer now. If they lose a round, they still have economy to dig into to get themselves out weapons. So Sprout now will find it even more difficult to connect these. And it feeds back into what we said before about how they have looked worse coming into the mid to late half, getting most of the rounds up early on. And with 3 on the board, they still have a little bit of a ways to go before this is a decent half for them.
I mean, Sprout don't want to fall short overall. I think it was, yet again, to be said, a momentum thing really coming in for Big over on the T side of Overpass. I'm very much looking forward to, by the way, what we're going to see from Goppy on Mirage T side. And I don't know how much he likes or hates this map. As I know a few Germans don't like Mirage too much, but in this case, Sprout most definitely do. Have picked it and look quite good on paper with it. Centaurus just waiting back in window, and the instant punishment coming in, sees Keto, and he's going to be, no, I'm not going in there, or is he? Waiting in the corner at least, and 60 more seconds for Sprout to now execute on Tapson. Tapson?
Oh, okay. So this is the first time the opening duel for Big's been traded back instantaneously, but a lot of information gained. One towards bottom mid. They don't know. There's one up nice and close, tucked in there as Keto, waiting for a peek to come out from Zantaras, but it's not happening, waiting for somebody to get aggressive on short. Not coming through either. They're going to dedicate the defense over towards the bomb side itself, but Merbit takes down one. He knows where Gobby is as well. No support for Gob, and he's in a lot of trouble with his head ripped off. It's all onto Tizian. He was known to be towards B after boosting up the player earlier on. And so 6-4, Big Clan get another opening duel, but this time with the trade in place straight away, Sprout look a lot better. Still Big now. 8 rounds they found the opening duel in going their way, and only 1 so far where there's been that instantaneous trade that led to the round win for Sprout.
What's very interesting to me is that they right now instantly go for the timeout. I find that very, very, very enjoyable. And in the end, I mean, when we take a look at Big, right? Recent events, we're talking, for example, about IEM Sydney, where they had to play with Legia. They were the 3rd lowest rated team throughout entire IEM Sydney. At the highest average damage with utility, though. Yeah, that's what I like so much about Big, really, is their utility sort of focus. It does not necessarily... It's a little advantage in this scene that becomes so competitive with just a raw pure skill, that those utility things are sometimes really putting you in that spot. And, well, the recent map pool with Dennis is not that great. They haven't really put anything down to be that positive. Now Big most definitely want to pick up a victorious best of 3 to advance into a better state right here. And they have a good chance doing so.
Well, with the 1-0 up early on, obviously a fantastic chance builds. Again, an opening duel goes in for them as Dennis takes Ketos and Taras over towards the connector on another. And the flashbang's over to support. This is going to devastate the push from Sprout.
This is so painful, Mitch, because once again, they can't get it consecutive. Instantly punished from Merbit. And Sirison, good luck, have fun with that. No chance. And the big clan, there was an immediate shutdown. It was not like it was really on the edge, was it? Only Dennis falling down. He's going to get rewarded with the op. Gob's going to pick the AUG. And Sprouts, I mean, shrugging.
Indeed. Well, like you said, wasn't even close. They try to push towards the site. They're picked off from every single angle. The utility support goes through as well. We saw the flash over to allow Gobby and Dennis to keep on fragging. And although Dennis got taken down, the trades were there instantaneously. It's not looking good right now.
Not at all.
Like, it's a 7-4 scoreline, but it definitely feels a lot more dominant than that. And again, it chalks down to Sprout being able to get those early leads into a map and then stagnating towards the mid to late stages. You've only got a couple rounds left, and Big are still in with a chance of 11-4ing it. With Sprout not having a great economy, there should be at least 8 on the board now.
Well, I'm not satisfied because I'm honestly a little shocked how Sprout looked on Overpass. Just to recap that, a 16-6. And the funny part for me, or the funny part, I mean, that's even worse. The devastating part for me was we had a difference of more than 0.4 rating points between Sprout and Big. And that is a lot. That is a lot. The funny part is 16-6. Think about that one, Mitch. The opening duel rate for Sprout was positive +2. So with that aspect, and yet again, that aspect with losing, taking a round after you lost your first men is for Big on Overpass. This is funny. 14.3% on Mirage, even similar 18.8%. That's bad. Period. That's bad.
Yep.
And still, look where we are.
I think the average is around 25 to 30% of rounds that you're seeing yourself lose the opening duel in that you still come back into. And that's often just because of the ability to trade on the T side. That you can take you can lose a player to maybe an op, but as long as you take him down straight away, that puts you in an advantage. That was a tech issue there for Sprout that they called in. It was Spitty that called the tech pause, and evidently he's fixed whatever was wrong as he takes Dennis's head clean off in middle. The players are hurt up close, though, and Centaurus knows it. Going to mow them down, at least Searson, stopping them from obtaining that AWP, dropping a molly as well to push them towards Connector, leaving Tavson to try and cut them down as he pushes on mid. And one thing to mention, it was 10-5 in favor of Big Clan at the halftime and half number 1 of Overpass, and yet the opening duels were 10-5 in favor of Sprout. Yeah. It was like a really weird switcheroo.
A very odd switcheroo. And right now, talking about a switcheroo, Big Clan is switching the driver's seat for the passenger seat in this round. Sprout actually has only 2 players with armor out of 3. And now it comes down to Xantares and Co. retaking that B site. And if there's a man I would like to rely on when it comes down to retaking a site, it most definitely would be Xantares, knows where Speedy is. And now you could try to call this once more again into a different state. Speedy found a little bit in the open. Merbit crossing through. Xantares with a bit of a bad timing, but talking about him, beautifully taking it down 1. But they're failing to realize what's going on. Gob might call this the A site. Big mistake, though.
Centaurus still rotating over there and then notices that it is in fact B, but Gob's already gone. It's not a nice situation, but we said that this should be 8 rounds on the board for Big. Evidently not. As Sprout pull this off, at least for now. Xantares is the player you want in this kind of clutch situation. Himself and Gobby tend to have the best rates, but as he walks up close, Merbit's watching this and he turns away at the wrong moment. Eliminated, taken down, and it's 7-5. Pretty decent position for Sprout, managing to come back into that round. They've secured themselves a better economy, and look at what Big Clan are working with.
Yeah, not much. Bit of an unfortunate situation where they seem somewhat trapped in it, where I expected a lot more to come through. And now the Eagles or pardon that, 1 Deagle and the P250. Very disciplined by Big Clan to rather not say, I mean, the double digits is not important for them, rather go for the 9-6. Understandably, I mean, they could have had somewhat of a buy, right? It would be rough, it would be uncomfortable, it would be somewhat devastating. And Xantares, knock knock, good night. See you next round, Sirius-on. Scott might try to take that up. I don't really see anything happening right here. And there it goes, only Tizian left alive.
If you can find at least a kill or two, it would be nice, but at least a kill or two with the USP in hand is never going to be easy, unless it's a pistol round. That could be a lot easier to work with. Spitty takes him down, though, and it puts it 7-6. A round that we expected to see go in the way of Sprout. We just hoped for a little bit more impact from Big Clan to at least weaken the economy of the T side, as they only really have to invest into utility after losing just the one player. You can see they're still sitting pretty. If they lose this round, they'll be able to get full buys in, and that's even without a bomb plan. So Big Clan now on the open up. This has been a great late round or late half recovery from Sprout, and much better than what we saw in Overpass. The struggle starting to dissipate a little bit and transfer over to the big side, where now you're even going to see them struggling a little bit in terms of utility coming into this round.
Off now. Speedy find the one onto Dennis. Things are looking quite good. As this could be just somewhat turned around. Faven approaching A, which is fairly empty. In the meantime, nothing has been told yet. Beautiful frag, flashbang perfection, Speedy out, and suddenly man equalized here, Mitch.
Yeah, it was an interesting start to the round with Big Clan trying to claim that top mid control. The flashbang went in, but I think it actually caught Dennis, which is never ideal. So as he went down, flashbanged in the middle of the open. You're looking at a 4v4 at least with the trade coming through, like you said. Tabson equalizes it a little bit. It still does look better for Sprout because it spreads the defense a little bit more thinly, but the thing is they've decided to stack relatively heavily towards A, leaving themselves in a rotation, but Xantares gets picked up off by the op. Tabson returns it and immediately down. And these trades for Sprout are really the missing ingredient from the previous map. Merman almost got away with that.
Yeah, he almost got away with that, but air traffic says, nah, not any further. TCN to now do this all on his own. And Ticket Booth seems to be his friend. Goes up there, sees Keto. Number 1 down, and Faven is the next victim, or the next possible victim, if he does not hold the site pretty much on his own. Gonna see TCN beforehand and eliminate him. Sprouts with the number 7, and could just actually take the lead during this half. Surprising.
No, we definitely didn't see this comeback happening. And again, I'd put it down to the fact that we've so consistently seen them fail on the trades, even in situations like we said on the first map. They started it out 10 opening duels, but only 5 rounds out of those 15. And it's a really awkward spot then, because if you're not efficiently able to trade with a man advantage in play, when you then come down to a map where Big were certainly playing better as individuals in terms of their trades as well, if you're not efficiently trading, you will be punished heavily. Now coming into this, they've fixed that issue quite a bit. Evidently, they took a little bit of downtime between maps to coordinate a little bit more, and also you got to take into consideration this is their map pick. They're feeling a little bit more comfortable on Mirage. And one that we see Big Clan losing a little bit more frequently, I think it's fair to say, than Overpass. Although they don't win Overpass in general, they're always a close game, whereas here we definitely see a lot more one-sided affairs against Big.
Yeah. Oh, and now I'm very much looking forward to see if Big is going to prevail and have that 1-round advantage. Yet again, I have to point it out, pistol rounds are not really something they're so good at. So if you want to stop the momentum, you definitely want to find that 1-round advantage and accept defeat in the pistol. In the meantime, Big are only down to 4. The bomb very publicly in middle, and Dennis seemingly eliminated 2 Xantares found in the meantime. A is free. And as taps and taps away, one after another, after another, after another. I think we have evidently an 8-7 for Sprout coming our way.
Well, it really should be, unless it was a huge turnaround. Tizian's only got a Deagle and armor coming up behind. Plenty of time to get that bomb plant before he's anywhere near able to contest. And I think at this point, the half should be all but over. He's spotted in the open, Deagle in hand, not able to catch it. Murbit takes him down through the wall to put it 8-7. And what a recovery it's been. I got to say, Sprout have really impressed me coming into this. They've changed completely from what we saw on map number 1. whether it's been in the trades, the opening duels that they're following through on the victories in, and just in the general late round when they come into buy rounds, they've been playing so much better than what we saw in Overpass. And I think you can put that down to a little bit more comfort here, perhaps.
Very much. It felt that Sprout was uncomfortable on Overpass, which is not what you want to see. Big Clan is definitely not a T-sided team. So it comes down to an overall prevailing performance. I'm not quite sure if that's happening, though. We're going to see. In the meantime, Centaurus online again on a 120 ADR over the course of 15 rounds. With Funya-wise, even the highest amount of enemies flashed. Things have turned around, though, for Sprout. Speedy leading the way, as he's the usual IGL with that. And now we might just see even more utility damage coming in from the Sproutlings. A thing that I find disappointing, though, so far, is both Faven and Sirison. Murbit stepping up his game, though he's more in that lurking sort of role from time to time. He's up with 15-9. And let's see if the one on the bottom of the scoreboard is actually coming up again.
I think the fact that we're seeing a pretty slow performance from Sirison kind of highlights what we underlined on Overpass. The fact that, yes, it was easy to look at the scoreboard and say, well, he's got 15 kills. He's playing really well.
Yeah.
But after the first 5 or 6 rounds, he found no opening duels. Most of the kills he had were when he was trying to save his weapon and they hunted him down to try and eliminate it. And they pushed him one by one. He was able to isolate the angles and take down a couple of players. And although that did the damage to the economy of Big Clan, in terms of actually winning the rounds, opening them up, there was very little impact after the first 5 or 6. And that's something that we commented on. Moving on to this map, that seems to remain the same as, again, early round, not too much to be said from him as he's sitting 5 for 11 right now. And big recovery, though, like you said. You've got the likes of Spitty. You've got Murbit up there as well, having themselves fantastic performances. And it's a very unusual thing to see Faven actually having a bit of a slower game.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate to see Faven having a slower game, as I personally always think that he's the man to watch out for in the future. He's one of the best players to ever see. And oof, okay, good night, Gop. That's him already taken out. Takes a lot of damage from the flames. Either way, now the Glocks make it over on the B side, and they'll swiftly approach. Tapson and Cole definitely want to find a frag. He taps away the first. Sirison down, and Centaurus with the Glock as well, but they don't know about a player to his right-hand side. Murbit is whiffing, and suddenly Faven to be the last individual to turn things around. We just highlighted him, and now he needs to prove that he's worth that slot in Sprout. I mean, he proved it many million times, but now he needs to let his team advance. TCN to be taken out, and he kills him. All that was needed. And Faven with number 9, Sprout, getting further and further.
Sprout at this point, I mean, 9-7 up. This is a spot I definitely didn't expect to see coming through all too soon. As Big were walking away with a 7-4 scoreline in what felt like a really dominant mid-round or mid-half. But now, as they're back ahead, they don't face off against a full buy. Once more, we're seeing Big Clan go in with a weaker investment, just taking out a couple P250s to see if they can maybe rush a bomb site and get a plant. A little bit of economy damage along the way. Their objective in this round, first of all, don't die to SMGs. Mm-hmm. Secondly, get the bomb planted. And thirdly, see if you can find any kills. And they're already getting checkbox number 3 ticked off.
Thank you for the checkbox, Mitch. In the meantime, it's Keto who finds all the long-range frags. Sounds like a very logical guide you just provided. In the meantime, oops, he's taking down another, and that's 2 out of 5 dying. A bit painful for Sprout on the CT economy, especially considering this is an eco from Big. But logically, not much happening. Murbit to take him out. And so, there you go.
It's not the worst spot, really, for Sprout, because the 2 players they lost were the SMGs. They managed to upgrade them back and take the FAMASs through to the next round. So it could certainly look a whole lot bleaker. But they do have to upgrade slightly into this, as they know they're going to be up against the AKs. So the economy damage is going to be definitely visible. As you're going to see Murbit unable to buy in the next round. Keto struggling a little bit, if they lose this, that is. Big come in with an advantage in terms of the rifles. The SG again out on Gob B. He was pretty effective on this over on the terrorist side of Overpass. But back then it was consistently he was catching the flankers off. feel like we'll see a lot less of that kind of aggression on Mirage, so he'll have to use it a little bit more offensively. Then again, he had that 4K clutch round, so he's definitely competent in that aspect as well.
I very much like to see that Gob is a fan of the SG553, or the Krieg, as some might say. As in the meantime, Big takes their time. They have not really made themselves present anywhere yet. And it's obviously yet to come. Big plays from big players. And that clock is not in favor of the crew of Tapson. TCN sneaking through middle. Faven very ready for Xantares. And this is the silence before the storm starts to hit.
And they still have so much utility to use up as they push towards this site. Already being deployed over there. They're going to 3-man split through middle. And Palace actually sending nobody in ramp. That's an interesting choice. Faven could get a lot of damage done here from underwood.
Oh.
Speedy's caught inside the smoke, though, and that's an awkward player to lose to open it up.
Oh, and this is so unfortunate. Faven up on the ladder, trying to go up and down. Keto expected by Gob, but he's not going to find him nevertheless. Spump to be planted. And they should know that all the remaining Sprout players are short because of the boost we've seen. And there you go. Easily done.
The big problem there is as soon as Spitty falls, he's smoked off. He's inside the smoke. He's spammed. Xantares takes him down. And the second that he dies, the player Underwood has no support. He's worried about the players dropping on him, peeking top ladder, and indeed, more importantly, the ones coming in from jungle. He's forced to take that fight. Once he dies, Dennis takes him down, continues to aggress towards CT, where the final remaining A defender is, and he falls as well. One by one, they fall without the potential to peak because that defense was entirely based around Spitty stopping the connector pushes out. They had a player in position to stop ramp, but they didn't send anybody through ramp, so he was pretty much useless, with a small bit of emphasis on the fact that he could defend the top of the ladder, but Faven was still left massively open, trapped essentially in a box. And so the round just went to Big Clan because of Spitty falling pretty much. And I wouldn't even put that down to him. He didn't peek through the smoke. He just got spammed. And it's one of these unlucky situations. But at the end of the day, that's enough to cost you.
Yeah, and I like the approach here from Sprout that they stick to the 2 rifles and don't buy back in. I mean, they could have done that with something like MP9s or similar sort of submachine guns, but Faven is hungry. He's smelling the prey and knock knock. How you doing, Tapson? You're out. Sprout with the entry by just a single deagle. This tastes bitter, but that's 1 rifle out. And so Sprout overall on the back foot and not just by a bit.
Oh, the close range fight almost goes their way. A trade at least to come through.
Damage.
Yeah, it's decent damage on the Xantares as well as the trade. It gives the pistols a fighting chance, certainly Faven on the Deagle at least.
Certainly, but as Sprout was so focused on the A side, Gob probably says, guys, we go B, reasonable and understandable, and so only 1 real opponent is awaiting him there. That's going to be Murbit. The man has full armor on himself with a FAMAS. It's not that unrealistic this could work, because take a look, if they go through short and Faven rotates in time, he's coming through connector, or window alternatively. Oh, this is dangerous. Oh, this is dangerous. No, got to be kidding me. And this hurts. Gob once we're going to clutch it out. Faven has found the entry with just the deagle. And Gob's going to commit. Gob is going to commit. And he probably does not know where he's coming from. Faven turns this one around. Big was having the upper hand.
I mean, Murbit does so well to trade out early round towards A. Also doing the damage to Xantares, who was taken down later, but right there in the end, that short hold, there is no way that should have went to him. As soon as he spotted, I thought he would lose the first fight. Then they swing out to trade. No chance there either. And although they eventually take him down, I mean, it's just not enough when you have to commit to that bomb plant. Faven, already being close, has plenty of time to locate himself into a position where he can catch you off guard as you try to exit that site. What a fantastic round from Sprout, and one that we didn't expect to see them have any chance. I mean, they were behind by quite a bit as we moved into the round, but trading it back and forth, and again, a factor that was really missing from their overpass. and is now starting to come through for them.
That's so devastating, really. Big Clan, they might collapse on Mirage, but I mean, we're far away from seeing that one happen, and yet, as they take their time, again, full buy, all the weapons in their hands. The problem that might occur after this, right, is Big will be in a situation where they are, well, bankrupt, I think is a very good word, isn't it? They will be pretty much bankrupt in case they're losing that.
I think it's fair to say bankroll would be pretty damn low. It's a super crucial round. And Sprout coming into it with full scopes. It's one that looks towards them with quite a lot of favor. The problem is, I think Big at this point not taking any mid control. Once they throw over this utility, the fact is they can't really afford to rotate to A unless they go through T-spawn, and that would be quite time-consuming. They pretty much are forced to commit towards this B bomb site, leaving Murbit to hold down from bench, and he's got a favorable angle with that AUG.
Yeah, some degree. I mean, he's forced out, though, and Dennis might be finally able to strike. His op is somewhat disappointing. Talking about it, Murbit next up, and still not finding the kill. It's going to be problematic because his AUG is so good at the moment. Speedy the support to your need, and Tapson has not the slightest clue. That's smart, that intelligent, and that's pivotal. Big Clan might fall, and they do overall.
12-8. My God, Sprout are really starting to pull this back. Big Clan being locked out of that round almost guarantees the 13th. And then they're on the home stretch. I mean, Big have a lot of pressure on them right now. I wouldn't be surprised to see them maybe take a timeout now and discuss what they want to roll with, or perhaps after this round. Although they might go with the old strategy. Use rounds like this, spread out, look for kills, play it slow, and talk over your tactics in the meantime. Although they've got pauses to use, so I wouldn't be surprised if one comes in after this.
Well, I mean, I would love to see some juicy Deagle taps. Realistically speaking, not happening. Funny story in the meantime, Sirson is still quite low when it comes down to impact, as he himself is, well, and that's the funny part, the lowest KAST on the entire server. 50% of kills, assists, survives, and trades, which is not a lot, especially considering he's the AWP player. In the meantime, Big is just trying the best to take the crowbar and pry open any site. If that's going to work is a different sort of story. And they're hungry, at least for one or two.
Sprout are playing this passive, though. They're not offering up those chances. Usually by now you would have seen at least one or two peeks towards middle, but Sprout know what they're up against, and they've seen the Deagles from Big before. I am surprised, though. So far, we've only seen Searson find one kill since this half began. And that's not really the ideal way to have your opera playing. You're investing a lot into him in terms of hardware and getting very little return for it.
So, Fabian desperately looking to finally take them down. One found, that's nice to have. TCN is hungry, and if they now even find Sirson, this would be a plan pretty much granted, but the short player arrives, TCN on a pedestal, they push through CT, and that's a safe plant, and TCN is hungry. This man using his claws that are so sharp, but Murbit takes a drop at opponent. Centaurus hardly stand a chance with 31 points of health. And as the flashbang and everything comes in, he should be eliminated anytime soon. But that's major damage either way.
Oh, what a round from Tizian. They're coming through with 3 kills on the board. Not a player that you normally look to make those kind of big individual plays, but right now he's certainly starting to climb up the scoreboard. And a very important one, because Sprout were in danger, or Big were rather, in danger of allowing Sprout's economy to flourish out of control. But with the reinvestment coming into this round, they're at least kept somewhat modest, to the point that, again, if Big can manage to win this round, they start to close that gap in and probably get double digits, as Sprout would be forced into a bit of a weak buy. If they wanted to buy up, I think it would probably just be an eco. So, but Big are in the same boat, right? They don't have a lot of cash.
Yeah.
If they lose this round, especially without a bomb plant, then Sprout are pretty much home free.
They are. They 100% are. And this is one where the tendency in the stats does not lie. Sprout being so CT-sided, Big Clan being also more CT-sided is definitely telling us somewhat of a story. And yet again, oof, there we go. Searson out. We talked about him. He fails to really impress. And that leaves me somewhat gutted, as he is one of the biggest AWP hopes in Germany. I mean, could be called the number one op if you see it that way. Dennis failing, talking about another op, to get his shot done, and the nades nearly gets him. Either way, Tizian opens up a gate. He does. And that B site might be open for business now.
Oh, they're rotating over, but lots of utility usage towards B is only a fake. Spitty's at least spotted out Santerra's over towards the palace as they look to push on forward. Flashbang goes through. Spitty's turning back around, but he's taken down, his head torn off. But even despite low HP on a couple of the big clan players, they'll achieve a bomb plant here. And what should be, to be honest, a save from Sprout. If they can carry these weapons forward, they leave themselves in with a good chance of getting a full buy in the next round. But Goppy getting aggressive, though, that could be in danger. As Keto's eliminated, it leaves it all onto Favin. 1v4. And again, going to try to save this weapon forward, I think. If they had went for it in a 2v4, they would have had somewhat of a chance with Dennis being lows and Towers and Goppy as well not being too healthy. But the thing is that they don't have that exact information. And saying, oh, I hit one low is never 100% accurate.
Yeah, you sometimes get debated by your teammates. It's the worst feeling. But either way, Big Clan on the 9th, the big boys. I mean, they can perform the comeback. The matter of fact is, Sprout in this one only got one rifle. That's Fabian. We already saw the pistols prevail previously, and leaving Big Clan disappointed with themselves. The 10-9 pardon, the 10-13, inevitable. I would say it has to be inevitable. From that point on, Sprout got a buy yet again. So 10-13, Sprout on the buy. And in case Sprout is losing a 10-13 situation, then things start to look a bit more sinister for Speedy and his crew, because then the momentum is gained, the economy is looking weak, and Big might capitalize on that. But this is a lot of hypothetical scenarios pretty much glued together. First of all, we need to go for round number 23.
I'm curious with the balls coming through from the T side. Sprout are also going to be discussing how they're investing. I mean, Searson and Murbit still haven't bought up. Presumably it's going to be pistol armor, but they could decide to go just completely overboard and buy up rifles. I hope that doesn't come through, especially with Spitty already having himself a deagle. This is the kind of scenario where maybe he could take out a scout and play alongside his teammates if they were full forcing. But again, pistol armor is probably the best thing to go for. Searson's not invested at all. He just wants to keep the USP, same as Keto. But I would have preferred to see him maybe buy 2 P250s, drop one over to Keto, and give them a fighting chance coming into the round.
Oh, and this is a worrying aspect over there on the ramp. Taps and those seams ready. There they come. First found, second nearby as well. And Speedy is going to be flashed off. And then situation to be cleared out. Yeah. Jump hurts? I'm not so sure about it. I'm not so sure if they're aware of Speedy being nearby. Either way, Big Clan should have no real struggles to now show us what they're made of. Centaur saw Speedy. And then the inevitable A site push by perfection, as no real obstacles stand in the way. Yeah, Sprout's pretty much falling down this one. Nothing to recover.
With Favin losing the AK as well, that's all the damage dealing pretty much out of the question. Murbit's stuck in CT. They shouldn't be pushing him. Obviously, there's close range angles on offer there, so they want to make sure that they keep him at range. Bobby doing a decent job of that up against the USP. Now they're pushing through. Tapson's getting aggressive all by himself. This is risky. I mean, if Murbit was tucked in close right there, he could have been taken down. Same thing happens to Gob B. Gob B at least had support, though, so the trade went through. But again, Tapson going down through CT, he could get taken out by the 5-7. Rifle picked up, go for a save. Gob B would probably intercept in through jungle. But again, you're fighting through the kill hole. It's never ideal. It could have went awry. And I'd prefer to see them, especially playing from behind, making much tighter decisions. You want to play your cards closer to your chest when you're behind like this, and make sure you're not giving any opportunities over to Sprout, because they only need one.
Yeah. Talking about you need one. Jesus Christ, Dennis. You could call that a bit cocky, couldn't you? And now Faven could be the game changer to seal the deal. Tissy and Blind, Searson is the perfect supporter in this. And that seems from a blithe aggression over on the A side to a big problem occurring at the same position. Big Clan tend not to retreat anymore. I still am not 100% satisfied. And Xantares sees Faven. He's going to be taken out. First casualty on the side of Sprout, but I don't have any high hopes anymore. This needs to be a by-the-book performance. A by-the-book performance from Xantares. But now it's only down to Tapson.
1v3, there was a time that you'd look towards him and say, well, he's got this in the bag, but so far hasn't been having the best of games and caught out by a 3-man peak. Certainly not a situation that gives you all too much favor. 14-10. Big Clan behind by quite a bit. They've got another full buy in them, but they can't keep this up for too much longer.
I simply didn't like this so much because it didn't seem that astute, right? I would expect not a rudimentary approach to the A side where you go as fast as possible. Sprout had the upper hand in this, and no real surprise actually, because they themselves are a fairly structured team. And I mean, this is the last breath of a nearly dead body. And I mean, the entry from Dennis, for example, very cocky, very aggressive, and that didn't pay off. Now the mid op is taken care. That is gonna be Searson, and I got no further hope for Big, unfortunately. As I say it, shouldn't have done it. Oh, but
Keto's going to catch them all for pieces, and Towers goes down. He knows Tizian is close. Nade goes through, but it's not even needed. Spitty does all the damage by himself, putting it into a 2v4 in a position for Big Clan that actually started to look pretty good, but no longer. Dennis is at least holding the angle. Drops down, though. I think he lost his footing.
Yeah.
And that's a 1v3 now, an unfortunate situation. Gobby has to pull it back again. It will be a 4K on the SG for the second time, rather. Smoke towards connector allows him to take this peek and isolate Keto. Very well played, but the spam through the smoke is superior from Murbit. It's a 15-10. Again, this is going to be Sprout on map point. You still got the decider left over. That's Dust 2. A map with a similar playstyle to this. And I'm curious at this point. I mean, Sprout came into this with no faith from us. We thought it was going to be an easy peasy victory for Big Clan, but
right.
It's definitely swapped around. Once they're on a map, I suppose, where they're a little bit more comfortable, they're looking a lot better. And we thought this coming in, right, Sesh? We said it would probably be a 3-map series, but I don't think we really expected it after the performance from Sprout on the first map. Yeah,
exactly. The first map I expect to be a lot tighter. It all turned around when sides are being switched. Big Clan did a few mistakes also towards the end of their CT side, which cost them in the end a possible double-digit half where things would have looked a lot less sinister. Talking about Dust 2 and giving you a little preview here, Mitch. The win percentage in the last 3 months on the follow-up final decider. 25% win ratio, Big Clan, 75 Sprout. The competition from Big Clan is still Navi, Astralis, and Co. Yet again, not those convincing performances. And now we got to see if they'll bring it to overtime and buy a ticket to stay alive a little longer, or if Sprout just played by the book.
Well, early on, I'm curious to see how Sprout changed their setup, already going for a little bit of mid-aggression. Getting the info that nobody's there. They bail back a little bit, holding bottom mid. An interesting setup in general, one we haven't seen Sprout go to all too much, just on Mirage in general. Spitty playing towards bottom mid, making sure no one comes in through underpass. They've got 3-man stack towards B, but watching the cross is Searson, so he's still a little bit dedicated towards that A bomb side, helping as they take down Dennis on the cross. But Big, with just a couple of smokes, have managed to claim almost complete control, looking to get the bomb plant there as Thompson was in the sights of Searson for just a second.
Scop. Just waiting this out, certainly but steady. I don't really think Sprout should struggle too much. Tician's Lurk is nice to have. Gotta meet Keto. Oh, but Searson got his back. Speedy is chiming in as well. 2 more rifles, and Xantares and Gob, the Turkish duo. to now turn things around. It's only Xantares, and he's down and out. We got a 16-10. Sprout done it. They brought it through, and this defuse is just going to be hardly enough. Nevertheless, GG to Sprout. Map number 3 we're going to experience in just a second, Mitch. And then let's see what's going to happen on this too.
Charge up your game with excitement. Highest odds on the market. Coverage of all live and pre-match events. Place your bets with Solid Bookmaker and win with your favorite teams. Take what's rightfully yours with G.
Ain't no love like a real love, but it goes so fast. All tied up like a captive. I'm to you. Used to pay to my life, standing on rainbows, playing it cool. I don't got this in ages, and I've no more patience. So won't you please stay up in line? You're making me stronger, making me stronger. Stay up in line. You're making me stronger, making me stronger. You're stronger. You're stronger. I know you don't love me like you say you do. I know you don't love me like you say you do. I know you don't love me like you say you do.
Casting on my promises, you know I'm too generous. Now I've learned to never help you out. 'Cause I'm done cleaning up your mess. Found myself in my regrets. I've become a little stronger now. 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 You casting on my promises. You know I'm too generous. Now I've learned to never help you out. chasing, leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
What does perfect even mean? Is there even such a thing? Ooh, can we switch up all the rules and imagine a utopia? Darling, I'm just so fed up with these expectations. They keep weighing me down. My heart is begging me to get the hell out of my head. I'm gonna live inside the upside down for a minute and pretend, honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, whoa, honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, whoa, and if I say it enough, it gets ingrained in my head, and I start to see, honey, I'm a perfect 10. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, honey, I'm a perfect 10. Honey, I'm a, yeah.
I'm on my own, broken and alone. I feel the rain crashing down all around this empty town. I'm searching for the lost and found, but you don't care, you're unaware. Keep moving like the scars aren't even there. It's in the air like a blazing flare. Don't stare 'cause the flames will burn us. I thought you were the one for me. That's why I gave you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me. I used to kiss your head when you cried for me. Hold your hand while the pain was over. Keep you warm by the roaring sea. You meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. My darling dear, you're never here. When I'm in pain, you hide and disappear. Like shadows in the atmosphere, charting the stratosphere. Yeah. I prayed for you and kept you near in hopes you'd chase away my fears. I'm on my own, you made it so, and now I'm chasing nightmares through. I used to run with you through the great big leaves, laugh at you when you laugh at me. Hope for us because I believe the home was just you and me. I thought you were the one for me. That's why I gave you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you
got me falling in more times than I can get out. Down in the deep of my mind, I crawl for you.
Charge up your game with excitement. Highest odds on the market. Coverage of all live and pre-match events. Place your bets with Solid Bookmaker and win with your favorite teams. Take what's rightfully yours with
And live we are with Dust 2. Gob and his crew now got to prove that they're the number one in Germany. And everybody, and I can tell you from the German team, was expecting and looking for this match so desperately. Everybody wanted to see who's up on the throne. Surely this is not a clear indicator for eternity. Nevertheless, it is a display of dominance. And Big Clan was swinging the hammer on Overpass. It got quite close now on Mirage. Let's see what Dust 2 has to offer.
Well, we'll take a look at Big Clan if they can recover things as they start out on the terrorist side. A spot that I expect them to have a pretty decent time on. It means Antares has been having a phenomenal series. And on the terrorist side, he gets a little bit more room to maneuver around. They moved into this round with 3 sets of utility. Already losing Dennis. Leaves only Antares with the armor. It's a bit of an awkward spot, but at least they can use these flashbangs to maybe avoid taking any damage. As they push towards the site, Flash is going over. Certainly not going to be expecting more. Searson's flashed on long as they close in the distance, up close and personal, though. Searson hiding inside the smoke. Speedy pushes through and falls. And we're into a 4v4. But again, think about the lack of armor in play for them. Right. Searson finds it easy to take Xantares down, and now nobody has armor left.
This is just so ridiculous that now Tusian even prevails to some degree, but the body shots, I mean, you need a few, and then you go. Big Clan, the night further access. And like I said, this is the duel where the Germans were looking for it. They were hoping, they were praying, they were interested into seeing who's actually up there, because Sprout is climbing and climbing on the other side. Big is falling, and they're falling without a parachute too much, really, is it?
Falling quite a large distance. But look, Sprout have built up a lot of momentum. They start out with the pistol round. It helps them even more. But they have invested heavily into SMGs here. 3 alongside a scout. That buy doesn't leave them a whole lot to work with coming into the next round, where you should see Big Clan getting the majority of a full buyout. They pull out a scout for now, though, with a lot of pistols upgraded. On the back of that bomb plant, they can afford some util to back them up and still have cash in the bag for round number 3. So they're in with a decent chance to actually do some damage right now, along with the fact that they're future-proofed for the coming ones. Any weapons that Sprout lose here, it's going to cost them greatly in the next round.
Right.
And if they lose that, then they've no money to reinvest, obviously.
As we're talking about that, no tough time for the UMP in this case. Tapson, funny-wise, really on 1 HP. So slowly and steady. I'm a little confused why Tapson doesn't give his Deagle to both Tissian or Gob. But I mean, yeah, that's the way to put it. Flashbang coming on top. First one to now lead the charge is going to be Tapson. In the meantime, Dennis falls down. So things are turning somewhat sinister. With Mermits now getting Tissian as well. The bomb down is ideal, Mitch. I don't see anything, though, happening for Gob. It would be a German miracle. You know, do you know the word Wunderkind, Mitch?
Wunderkind?
Yes. Have you heard of that?
I've heard it, but I don't know what it means.
It's especially for a child like what was his name from Complexity, the 15-year-old? Obo. Do you know Obo, right?
Oh, Obo. Yes.
Obo is a Wunderkind because he's a child or a young one who's extremely talented.
Okay.
And it's a German word. That's where I was trying to go. So it's a miracle kid, directly translated.
There's Wunderbar as well, or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
Wonder is just wonder, basically.
Fair enough.
And that is a wonder. Talking about that. Good night, Faven. Frag found. And so, Mitch, the man advantage finally on the side for Big. But besides that, I think Dennis is somebody who really needs to prove us that he's the op Big needs and wants. Because so far a little disappointing. On Dust 2, he can show what he's made of.
least the opening goes their way, although you can put that down to a little bit of luck, a little bit of skill. Big Clan closing out rounds where they come ahead. That's been the staple of a lot of the maps that they've played recently. The first series, they were closing them out even when they went behind early on. The things sort of decayed as we went over to Mirage. Now on Dust 2, coming towards the B bomb site, man advantage in play. They're going to smoke off the cross, split through middle. At least that's the plan for now. Things may change though as they hear a flashbang aggressively on short, indicating that there's about to be some aggression coming through from Spitty. They could catch him off guard, with Dennis still peeking that. The spans through the smoke, Keto runs through just in time, but gets dropped down, leaving it into a 5v3. And Spitty was heard earlier pushing down here, yet he's still able to catch Dennis off guard.
Oh, it's getting a little nasty, isn't it? Sirison ripping off the hat of Centaurus as he's beheaded with the mobile guillotine. Sirison once more waits this out, and they're coming through tunnels. They're knocking quite loudly and viciously on the door, and as Rishan himself now needs to see what he can do, he's gonna die. And Murbit most likely gonna do himself a favor by staying there on cross and living another day as massive damage he deals Tapson, tabbing him away.
You can't just sit there for that long tapping away on the cross and think nobody's going to peek you. As you're left to a 2-1 scoreline, Big now. It's a situation for them that is getting a little bit better. You take a look over towards Sprout. They have still got the op, so some warning signs going off there, but Keto's forced down to a UMP. Gobby's not doing a whole lot better. The economy game is kind of back and forth at the moment, but the opportunity to completely shut down Sprout's financial game is on the cards. Gobby comes through with the opening on his Spitty though and continues to aggress. Murbit's now low and the spam through the smoke will be deadly. You can see it happening from the get-go. 2 players ready to eliminate him as it's now into a 3 versus 3 with Searson taking Xantaras. That gives them a much better chance and actually stops Big Clan from aggressing towards long altogether.
Yeah. And then it's Tapson and Tissian. Those lads. Well, right now, looking very desperately how this one will go. I honestly got my doubts that this is so favorable, really. I mean, very honestly here, Mitch, this Big Clan is just not the team made for this map. The statistics are not lying from time to time. It's different competition. In the meantime, though, one close-range player, that's Keto, and he pretty much should seal the deal, except Tissian is about to go ham.
Reloading though, Searson hears it, knows exactly where he is and catches him off guard, still in the tunnel. 3-1. Sprout pulling ahead early on the CT side. This has been a staple of them though. We saw it in map number 1. We saw it for a moment in map number 2, although they recovered it. They get ahead early on. They have a lot of success in those weaker rounds, but once Big start to get economy rolling, then things fall apart for them. We'll see if that's still going to be the case, though, because like we said, they recovered that. Their late half play over in map number 1 was really nice up against Big. It was still a close enough matchup, but definitely not one that we expected to see after Sprout's performance on Overpass. Now Big come into this round with just a few pistols. Yeah. Not really expected to do too much. Sprout of all the weapons they could possibly need to shut them down. And indeed, with very limited utility as well, the prospect of maybe pushing through middle up to B, anything like that, and catching them off guard isn't really there because Sprout should be able to support each other pretty well without smokes in play.
Spitty hears that, most likely. It's just going to play it a little more passively here. And Big yet not seem to be scratching their head too much. I mean, at this point in time, I just want to point out Sprout is, after 16 maps, legitimately nearly 50-50 with Big Clan, and now you can start to be worried, Mitch, a good bit more T-sided. We're talking about nearly 60-40, and so circumstances are quiet, sinister for the Big Clan side. Murbit with another, that's the meat grinder, and so the Fleischwolf strikes. 2 more to go for the Big Clan. And I got my doubts, major doubts, big doubts, tremendous doubts.
The doubts are all there, and so are the rounds for Sprout. With plenty of weapons carried forward, they're not really too worried about their economy at this point. And I got to say, this is, again, starting to really impress me, considering if you look at some of the matches that we've seen from Big, like, sure, Dust 2 isn't their best map, but it does serve as somewhat of a middle ground. Despite Sprout winning the majority of their matches, they are playing against a much lower caliber of team. And as you look towards even the last couple of times that they've played up against Na'Vi, Big got barely anything on the T side, only 3 rounds on the board. Again, a similar story against Astralis, 5. When they played X3D Max, they had a much better time, though.
Yeah, but we're talking about X3D Max. I think that is something we can't really count in. With Faven, though, through the smoke, gets one nevertheless, dodges the bullets of his teammate. Dennis is going to play anti-air for the moment. No further trespassing allowed. And look, Big is still very hesitant. The smoke now starts to fade. The other one comes closer anytime soon. Support from Searson is to be expected. They still got a bit of utility that can make it work. And as you see right there, I'm not quite sure if you're a fan of this patience, Mitch. I'm not too much, because things can start to backfire so massively so soon.
Well, they can indeed, but for now, nothing going down except for Sprout presumably saving some weapons. I think realistically, the best chance, the fact that they've won a lot of rounds, they have a little bit of economy left over, but when you look towards the B bomb site, the likes of an even 3v3 retake, let's say, it's still really hard to get back into the B site without all too much utility to use up. When the T side have the man advantage as well, it becomes 10 times harder.
Well said.
So as we look towards Big carrying 4 weapons forward, better economy control, but Sprout do get a pretty big benefit from bringing those weapons through. They can reinvest into utility on each player, they can drop over weapons, and have themselves a really well-rounded buy with everything that they need to work with. One thing that we can say that's been a huge recovery from the last 2 games that we've seen was the inconsistency that came through from Searson on the AWP over on Sprout. Although he's yet to find opening kills, he's now 7 for 1. And continuing to have that AWP in hand with cash stacked up in him, he's not looking all too shabby.
Not too shabby indeed. I mean, a little later on, I think a very funny story for all the international viewers will be how actually Searson got to be Searson. In the meantime, that AWP hopefully does a change for Sprout. They most definitely want to keep up the immense strength that they have delivered during the beginning few parts of the map, Mitch. And so far, this is where momentum could come in. This is where momentum could start to build a bit of a problem. I don't know how you see it, but we're going to talk about that in just a second. 1 minute left. And Big Clan, I mean, at least the bomb moves over to tunnels. This is still not a clear tendency. Leaving Dennis over on long, who does pretty much nothing at this point. I mean, he can't. Let's put it that way.
Big problem for them is that Sprout aren't rotating to A and playing passive in CT or anything like that. They're getting aggressive. They've taken top mid control. And now as they wrap around, they know that nobody's coming through short. So it's either all 5 players committing towards A long, which isn't the kind of big brain strategy that I think Gabi would normally go for. So they're still leaving their players on B, but with that kill, that forces their hand. They have to start a rotation, but they leave both players, Keto and Favin, to rotate over. Utility being deployed. Although Dennis goes down, they've spotted out that long is clear. It might not matter. The kills still come through, though. Zantares takes 1. He needs to do it all, though. His teammate's low HP, and as he finds that frag, it's down to a 2v1. Bomb under Zantares' control. And Searson with the AWP. We talked about the impact he's had so far in this map. Well, now he's got an AWP 1v2, both players low. Does he want to go for this? He doesn't have the info that they're low per se.
Yeah.
At least one of them is. It's a hard one to call. If he picks up an AWP, he's a good chance of winning this. Oh, a nade in play. Oh, no.
The thing is, though, if he picks an AWP, he makes a lot of noise, right? And this is where he becomes a little bit expectable. With now that nade, obviously, he is known. And Xantares is going to hear the player just above. Little risky from Searson, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, as soon as you said that, the nade gave away his position. It becomes obvious. He needs to go for a save. He has very little time, 1 versus 2, but continues to aggress going in through the window. And not a decision that I agree with. It was very risky, and they've lost a very valuable weapon that could have played a large role coming into this round where Sprout have very little else to work with. He's on the scout now. You know, it's not a terrible weapon, but
No.
personally, I think he'd rather an op and armor.
Yeah, I just imagine it's a safer call in the entire construct here of Sprout. Either way, a tie is coming up. And the story about Sirson is very interesting because he never was an op until the moment Hunden said, okay, Sirson, you're now the op. And this is legitimately a true story. Alternate Attacks back at the time, when they still had both Tissian and Sirson we see right there, was a very average team who pracked rarely, who was having major issues. Hunden came in, and he was, you know, when you're like a teenager and you have a dirty room, your mother comes in and you clean that. You clean that right now. And that was basically Hunden. He exactly did that. Build a good construction about the team, instantly won the German Meisterschaft besides that, and look where Sirson is right now. Under that leadership, he started to flourish. Same funny-wise with Quito, same with Tissian. And while we see all three on an elevated spot in the German scene, all three are where they belong right now, and they're basically fighting for some early throne. It's not the Game of Thrones yet, it's a little battle somewhere outside of Westeros.
Somewhere called short as a flashbang goes through and they close in the distance. Spot out there's nobody here playing aggro. Not this time. So they know that long control goes towards Sprout, or at least they should assume that. Smoke down in mid doesn't see too much reward. Spiddy's crossing back over. Hasn't been spotted. So we can support the B players, but Sirson is getting aggressive. He has no fallback now. He has to find that kill. Takes down Xantaras and nobody to trade. An op getting aggressive through a smoke in tunnels should really be traded. I mean, it's a situation. I suppose you're not going to dedicate 2 players to holding that angle, but it's a ballsy play. It works out for Sirson. You got to give him commendation for that.
100%. 1,000,000% actually. Tissian moving out, trying his best. Good night, Faven.
I'm surprised he decided to stick in the corner. He might have caught the walls. He was jumping back through. Obviously, I didn't see from his perspective, but now as they move towards B, Gobby's holding the cross. Caught out the rotation. Still 2 players here that can do a lot of damage. Quito starts it out well. Only Light stabs him down at 80 though. Bomb plan should be achieved. He's being covered. They can't push in through the window. And now again a 3v4 retake to ensue. The rotate's still being watched. I mean, Gobby at this point, look, they've got a little bit of cash to work with. But he's not actually the one hunting. It's Tissian. Gobby was over towards mid earlier, but they've left Tissian around here, lurking towards A, trying to catch them off. Luckily, though, Sprout have gone into pit. Now they've got the long range advantage, especially with 2 ops in play. This should be a situation that's Big Clan can't really say anything about. If anything, Tissian will probably be dropped trying to aggress forward and hunt these weapons down.
True. And what I think we have to really state here, Mitch, is that after Overpass, we thought, okay, this is the big clan we know. This is the big clan that is dominant, and that is the big clan against the odds. Statistically speaking, they were playing Overpass against the odds, dominating. Now, Mirage was shaky. There were a few little flaws we saw in the setup. I remember, I think it was 10-13, correct me if I'm wrong. And Big was going for a very brutal crowbar approach on the A sites, where they were like in the first 15, 20, 25 seconds, directly pushing through. I think it's debatable, and I'm the last person to judge if that was wrong or right. Nevertheless, it felt like maybe a bit more of an astute play could have become very handy. Now it comes down to those 2. And this is where Sprout on paper is yet again the stronger team. But this is extremely balanced nevertheless.
It is about momentum, though, and as we look towards it, Sprout being pushed away from the B bomb site a couple of times. They've been locked out of some of the rounds that Big Clan have won. It's allowed Big to build up quite a heavy stack of cash, and they can afford to keep on investing into rifles without fearing all too much about their economy if they lose this round. And Sprout not really in the same boat. Oh, but that's an unfortunate opening kill.
Was blinded but had the right time and brilliantly done. And especially this very mixed and odd buy from Sprout needs that. Faven strikes a second time, and young Joseph is not to be stopped at the moment in combination with the UMP. Good night, Big Plan. This is disgustingly good, as though Gob tries to do a bit of damage control. Sprout going to tie it up immediately again.
Well, that's unless Gobby manages to find an ace. Can't count him out, but he has been watched in every single angle. They know he's here. AWP scoped up. Out goes the SG. 1 kill on the board. Closing in the distance. Bomb right in front of him, but Keto's about to swing and take him down. 5-5. At least some more damage done to the CT economy, but they had quite a lot of cash going into that round, so it will not hit them too hard. But we discussed this. Big still able to buy back up. They've got themselves an op out on Dennis. Everybody else on the reflays, except for Gobby. He's not on the standard AK-47. We've seen this from him a lot on the SG. He's had a lot of impact with it as well. You're going to see overall, he's playing his heart out. I mean, out-fragging the likes of Tabson. And he's been up there contesting the performances of Xantares throughout the series, which is something that you don't really see too often from Gob.
Yeah, it's very funny actually for me that we see the same on Sprout, where Speedy is remaining quite competitive against his likes of Sirison and Faven, for example, which I think you would agree with me on that, expect on the top of the scoreboards alongside Keto Matey. And that's a little odd to see that right there. I don't want to say it's because of it's a domestic duel. That's just the last thing I want to really state with that. It's just going to be interesting overall. Sirison yet again on 9 frags after 10 rounds played. This is number 11, and he continues reaching double digits, and the triple op setup of Sprout seems to pay off at least for the second.
Yeah, for now, it's working. It's a setup that in general we don't see deployed too often. Big Clan with heavy utility, they can definitely punish them for it. Both players that are holding down the B bomb side have AWPs. One watching middle, one watching tunnels. It's a risky setup, one that could pay off, but if they're smoked out and flashed as the T's close in the distance, that could be very dangerous. The Molotov in middle will serve to slow them for just a second. But eventually it does look like they'll split out through mid. They don't expect Favin to be here on an op. You can see with the peek that Thompson just made, no utility supporting him. He gets taken down and we're into a 5 versus 3. Re-peek on the op, Favin's tearing them apart. He knows that at least Xantares is here, but now it's being watched by Searson. I mean, you just don't expect this many ops.
No,
It'll catch you off for at least 1 round.
Oh yeah, maybe there was 1 op. Okay, 2 makes sense. The third, unbelievable. And talking about unbelievable situation, that's going to be Searson down. Murbit waits back on long. And that duo is not having enough time. And even after time, Xantares, if that was necessary, I mean, sure he has 2K left, but debatable. And the thing which I just really want to point out, many people who know Sprout a little better know Faven tends to second op, for example, on Inferno on the CT side of Banana. We have not really seen that too often when it comes down to Dust 2. And now, dear ladies and gentlemen, it couldn't get more exciting, Mitch. I mean, I said it beforehand, the German community, when this match was announced, was looking forward to see who's going to pick up this best of 3. And Sprout, after just saying, check mark after overpass, forget about it, they're in this, and they're hungry, and they're hot.
They most certainly are. Back down to a double op setup, 3 Augs to back it up. And this is what we were saying. It can maybe catch you off for 1 round, but then you expect Big to react. You expect them to play much faster, push you together, make sure they get trades, smokes, flashbangs being used to push you back from angles. So Sprout respond to that by now having an AUG to support over towards this bomb side. Favin opens it up, Keto's there, and now Big realize that they've been baited in. The op's still watching the cross, but the trade at least on a below HP Tapson, that's a worthwhile one as they can now probably get the bomb down, specifically with Gobby still holding the cross. He's been doing this every time they've gone to B. So Sprout are cautious of it, but even being cautious, Gobby is playing well, and he's found another kill. Knows someone is here. He's just going to hold down. Wait, now they're so nervous. They don't know if he's going to come up behind them as they start to push towards the bomb side. Eventually, they assume he's going through tunnels, but no, he's not. He's behind you. He's taking you down. A Phantom in the night, a kill for him, and Dennis knows where Searson is. Trained in with the AWP, but the timing. Whoa, God, what? No. How does Dennis miss that?
He's going to pull through, doesn't he? But look at this HP. It's not much more time. And Sirson, forget about it. Forget about it. Either way, Dennis, with a debatable whiff, I would say. Either way, 6-6 with on the edge. And I think if they would have just earlier said, whatever, it's just Scott B in the middle and pushed through, they would have had a 3 versus 1. Surely they wanted to clear out the position. Makes a lot of sense, but they weren't fast enough in the end. Big with the 6. Sprout still got the money left in their bank accounts to use it. Speedy, the only one who really suffers in that one. It's an unbelievable back and forth, isn't it?
I think he should have. Well, look, it's a gamble that you make. He thought maybe he'd be coming in through the window or something like that, but Gobby was spotted down towards mid. He'd peeked you. He wasn't on the bomb site already after you'd taken the fight. I'm very surprised that he didn't assume that he was coming through tunnels. Could have dropped the molly there and won it out, but it doesn't work out in the end. It's 6-6. Big Clan winning that round. But imagine if you lose that round because of that miss spray, the tilt factor, no matter which team you are, that's going to go off the charts.
Yeah.
They're very lucky that they won that in the end.
I'm honest with you, Mitch. I'm German and I don't feel satisfied. And you know how those two things go along here is somewhat obvious. So, what? That looked pretty point blank on, but I got bamboozled in the end. The thing is, whoever is going to lose this round is going to economically collapse. And in this case, it might be big to collapse anytime soon. Speedy, with an easy body shot onto Gob, is going to deny further access. Same goes for Xantares. It's good night. Goes to the Turk, and this leaves only Tapson. Good luck, have fun. But the op, accurate as usual.
It is indeed in the hands of Spitty. As we look towards the scoreline right now, 7-6. Sprout pulling ahead. It's a map that I don't think is the worst to see an even scoreline on. So, although they should get up to 8 now, if Big Clan pull it back and finish 8-7, I don't think that's too bad for either team. Although, again, I would rather see Sprout walk away with a little bit more of a dominant scoreline. Very late decisions here, but they're going to be going for pistols and armor, actually full forcing into it. Big Clan making the risky choices. Let's see where they decide to take it. As early on, they're heading towards top mid, knowing that the op setups have been rampant, going for short control, and they're going to try to swarm this A bomb site by the looks of things.
I mean, we saw the danger of pistols on both sides previous on Overpass and simultaneously on Mirage. Good night. Tapson, Sirison, most likely to frag a little further with his op anytime soon. So they decide to go for the A site, which obviously is not swamped with opponents. That's actually B. Nevertheless, Faven's op has so far proven to be good. Is maybe in a bit of a problematic situation as players are starting to come for ramp. His teammate got him covered. Gob is putting him in a problematic situation. Either way, that's the way to do it. And Faven wants to do the quickly, but beforehand, Mermid seems to chime in and take down Gob. Oh, still not. There we go.
You got to give it to Sprout, right? While this is a far better map for them, we've talked about it a couple of times, the way it's against much worse opponents than the likes of Bigs. You still have to take a look at things and say they haven't been tested against the stronger opponents, really. They haven't got a chance to play this level of team on Dust 2, and right now, it's not looking too bad for them. 8-6 after making the force buy happen for Big in the previous round. It looks like Sprout are probably going to walk away with 9 as they're up against majority Mac 10s, a Galil and a Deagle. So some mixed signals there. You can definitely see a faster play coming through with the Mac 10s, but then again, maybe that Deagle and the Galil are going to want to play a little bit more slowly, a little bit more structured. Going for the close range short control. Nice shots on to Searson. As he lands the scout tag, it's not quite enough. Or the op tag, it was a leg shot. I assumed it was a scout just because it's 15. Yikes.
That's a yikes for me, Doc. And, well, obviously, Big is not hopping in their Porsche 911 to take left lane on the B site. Either way, now the Mac 10s are coming in, and Keto says, thank you for the snacks. I appreciate it. 9-6 it is. Big Clan suffering by 3 rounds down, switching to the CT side. And I'll be very honest with you, Mitch, the thing is, it's not going to turn out to be sunny for Big from what we have seen so far statistically. 57% of the rounds of Big Clan on this map have been won on the T site. 57. So obviously 43 on CT. That's not great numbers, is it?
It's not really, but you take a look at a lot of the time they start out on the terrorist side, so they don't get to play out as many rounds. When they swap over to CT up against Astralis, they lost 10-5 in their terrorist half and then ended up losing 6-5 on their CT, which is a much tighter scoreline. The pistol did go their way, though, so you got to take that into consideration a little bit. All in all, I think Big early round, if they win the pistol here, they get themselves in with a good chance. But if Sprout find this pistol, I find it very hard. I'm still looking to Big to be favored. I prefer their CT side here up against some of the stronger teams. But if they don't win this pistol, I think you can almost start kissing goodbye to it. The Sprout have built up so much momentum.
I mean, it's time for Stars here. The P2000 not really making it work. And yet again, a quick look on the minimap tells us Big Clan is intrigued to move over A, aren't they? Oh no, they are intrigued. This tastes so bittersweet because Sprout, if they are reacting in time, they realize it's all just B that's empty. And take a look, they could build an entire real estate on that because nobody's even disturbing them. Big Clan, wrong reads, wrong understanding, and a big problem that now occurs. The retake with a site, Mitch, that is so freaking narrow.
They've also got tunnels controlled because of the top mid. The players stopping them pushing through. They've spotted all coming up through the ramp. You've only got a smoke to work with. It's going over towards the tunnels and pushing on through. Okay, they're finding actually a lot of the kills here. Searson's going to be eliminated, leaving only Spitty behind that smoke. They can go for the defuse. They've not got a kit to work with for now, but they found the final kill, so it doesn't even matter. And that retake works out for them. I'm quite surprised. 3K for Tizian, and again, stepping it up when he's kind of least expected. Now top fragging for his team alongside God B. And Sprout, I mean, that was a round that they basically had in their hands already.
I'm a little bit surprised there. It really collapses. That, I mean, massively is a harsh word, I would say, but their understanding was so brilliant that the baits they have sold them was even better. And now, let's see how this one can go.
Well, look, Sprout have won these rounds before. You think back to Overpass, where they had that second round bye, just a couple of deagles in play, and they still managed to walk away with it. We've also seen Big in similar rounds, where Zantares was spamming away on deagles. And these are definitely formidable buys, and obviously known across Counter-Strike, but definitely in this series, they've had their impact. The players have no shortage of individual skill, and look at that, 2 quick deags. Favin and Spitty. Although Spitty goes down eventually, you're into a 3v3. But Zantares is still up with the FAMAS in hand. Look at him tapping away.
And I mean, in Germany you say Handkanone. That was pretty much the hand cannon striking massively into the faces of 2. The thing is, if they really stick right now to the A site, it might be also functional. Zantares, not much room for error. Faven definitely spotted him, and he wiggles around as much as possible because over a long, no, Murbit. That was his chance, and this is now Assistant about to collapse. Sprout might need to say bye-bye to the opportunity of double digits. Talking about it. Okay, then. All right.
Ooh. Yeah, this is starting to get a little bit scary for Big Clan. Bomb's going to be thrown across, retrieved relatively cleanly, as Favin should get that planted, but a lot of the pressure's on Mervin now to make it work with the deagle in hand. Spam's going through. Dennis on 34. But the bomb's not going to be planted and caught out in the open. Mervin would have to cross over to get that bomb instantaneously and planted. He had no chance of winning that round from the moment Favin died. It's 9-8. Big Clan closing in the scoreline, but here's Sprout's full buy. You've got the AKs, you've got the SG, the Krieg on Spitty, alongside Searson again on the AWP. Although he's doing better, I think we think back to round number 4, maybe 3. He had 7 kills on the board. I think it was around 5.
Yeah.
He had 7 kills on the board, now on 14. It's certainly slowed down as time's gone on. And again, it seems like when he gets the op-out, the performance kind of declines a little bit.
There we go. Entry for Sirson, a man we criticized a few times. And there's hardly any money left. We saw the previous round yet again to be an issue we already faced on Overpass, if I'm not totally wrong, Mitch. An issue that economic stability is not a friend of Big. And that economic stability is once more not granted. The entry found Sirson with a kill, and Speedy is going to be backstabbed by Tizian. Tied up we are yet again. A patient Sprout really looking for openings, and mid would be a position that's attackable.
And that bomb's rotating around a B. This is most certainly going to be a hit at this point. 55 seconds left. They're inching through middle, looking for a pick. Not being granted one as of yet. Up close and personal, Xantares is in a position to catch them, so long as they maintain a little bit of middle control. But the problem for them right now is that they've got none. You can easily see the walk coming up through middle. They can get up to B straight away, so they push through. The bomb is there, and it's taken down. No bomb control for the T's. They have to push back up. Keto getting himself a very quick kill, and he's not been doing great so far. Now the bomb can be planted.
On that B side, belonging to them. What? That was not even looking like it was on him. It seemed like he would rather go for Gop, but he decided, good night, Tizian, and double digits. There we are. Mitch, things might look sinister because yet again, realize how the economy of Big Clan looks. Only Gop brings anything through. The losing bonus is going to be devastating. They're going to be brought down to 1.4. So the force comes in. If that fails, it's going to be 11-8 where the eco then strikes.
It's definitely a rough spot to be in right now. Sprout are pulling ahead like crazy. A position that after map number 1 didn't look all too likely. Big, despite coming into this as heavy favorites. Sprout are showing us the work that they've been doing over the last couple of months. They've been an impressive team, even thinking back when we were at Copenhagen Games. They were doing a lot of work there.
Yeah.
They were disappointed to not win the final. I think it was up against Forze.
Was Force, yes. I was actually having a 30-minute conversation with the coach of them afterwards. It's all a very mental thing.
We were talking with them outside, and they weren't happy about it, but I mean, they're the whole thing about the team is that it's on a constant upward trend.
Yeah.
And that's all you need. It doesn't matter if you're not getting success instantly, you know?
Exactly.
Like you can have a yacht in Hawaii in the next 2 months if you click on this advertisement. No.
You didn't work for it.
Exactly. You got to get it bit by bit.
Talking about bit by bit, Mitch. Well,
oh man.
Big Clan, in the meantime, bit by bit secured major control over this round. Molly failing a minor mistake with major consequences. Merbito finds him mid-air, is looking for more, and Sabid Coctasar is actually looking for more and more and more, as he's not so aware about tunnels, and that might be a failure. Yeah, indeed, that's gonna fail. Faven, with only 3 HP, most likely will not stand a chance in this duel, but he's gonna try to play this one smart. Gop is waiting behind the smoke and should backstab him just right now.
A well-played round from Big. The one decision that could have cost them their taps and jumping up on low HP, he was very quickly taken down. I was getting scared, but in the end, it goes their way with a defuse coming through. And now on 10-9, Big Clan stand a good chance of pulling this back. They've avoided their economy being completely distraught, while Sprout aren't looking too good. They can still get themselves out a reasonable full buy. I think that's the thing for Big Clan here. I desperately hope that they didn't come in underestimating their opponents, and I don't know if they did. We've seen some certainly over-aggressive plays towards the start of the series. They've kind of weaned down as time's gone on. As Sprout were consistently punishing them whenever they were getting a little bit too loose.
Right.
Shall we say.
Well, Mitch, it's one of those do or die rounds yet again where the economy on both might suffer. As yet again, problems are, well, not occurring. TCN and Co. They've remained in their structured setup. No real aggression. Nothing exceptional to be seen. Dennis with a very tight angle and the entry for him. Faven can't do anything. Sprout on the back foot. And they need to see if they don't really find a way right now, then their opponent will be tying this one up.
The smoke in the crawls definitely indicates that this is going to be a hit towards the B bomb site. Zentara is hiding inside the smoke, hoping to catch them off as they push through. The flashbang as Dennis capitalizes on one kill. Now distracting them on the doors. Zentaras can push through and try to find some kills from behind. He grabs Spitty. Dennis on another, down to a 3v1. It's all on Searson. He's got to find an ace. No time to plant the bomb as they're already up close. He's going to plant it, instantly go for the peak, try to catch them off.
Saw him.
Here's a player pushing in. Oh, the legs are hit. Santara's 15 HP, but he survives. And now on 10 to 10, Big Clan tying it up. Sprout have got no cash to get a full buyout, so again, it's going to be that pesky Deagle buy, but once more, they've never looked down and out when they've had these hand cannons in hand.
This is so devastating for Sprout, really. I mean, I think it would be a bit of a heartbreak, to put it that way, in case they are losing this best of 3 series. They are fighting so hard, and yet again, before they are actually crossing the finish line, they fail. I mean, it's still a good bunch of rounds we might see. It's still a good bunch of occasions where Sprout has a chance to prevail. This round, very obviously, not the best one to see. So, a slow approach from Sprout. Molly to come over short. And that is all the dreams instantly ruined.
You know, the A-Rush is not going to be happening today. At least not for another 10 seconds or so. Eventually they're going to angle up. They have no utility to work with. The one thing going for them is that if they just barrel towards this site, they can probably make it there. Tabson's the only one holding it. They've also got a couple Deagles to work with. So he could be in a little bit of danger. But you have to make a decision, and really you can see what they're hoping here, that eventually they get aggressive, but sooner or later you have to make a play, and the play is being cut down by Taps, and he's already found 4 as they cross on out. He's looking for the ace, but Zantara steals it away. Eco aces, though, aren't really too sought after.
Yeah. And this is where we need to talk, Mitch. This is where we need to have a serious conversation. Because Fabian and Co., yeah, most definitely they are in the situation of having the highest losing bonus in their hands. Yet again, Big has found 5 out of 6 CT rounds. The first, by the way, timeout we're seeing, which is very enjoyable to watch that they take it before such a pivotal one. Because if Gob and his crew are going to prevail, it's going to be not only 12 to 10. Sprout invested everything. Surely they have the highest losing bonus. Either way, it's unsatisfying by now. And this is where things might turn sour quite swiftly. Big, though, needs to deliver by the book. Double op set up in their hands, and if that isn't an ideal defense, I don't know.
Well, triple op, Zesht. You need the triple op out.
I mean, we saw that in the past, but I'm not a fan of triple ops.
Same, but we have got 4 scopes to work with. The AUG and the SG coming on through. Almost one of every weapon in hand. One of every main weapon. If we had an AK here instead of a second op, it'd be perfect. Looking towards Sprout, they're taking a little bit of tunnels control. Top mid, outside A long. Playing it nice and slow. And this is something that sometimes can be a little bit scary, as they could be playing overly cautious. That nade will not really give away the fact that Tizian's getting aggressive. Catches Fabian with his knife out, needs to get out of there before the spam comes through. And indeed he makes it out alive with a little bit of information in his back pocket and damage done. But it's a small skirmish, one that doesn't give too much of an advantage to Big Clan, as they still have no idea where the majority of the T forces are, and Fabian's still more than capable of taking fights with 65 HP and a one-shot headshot weapon.
And most definitely, right now is the point in time where they're looking for more. Right now is the point in time where the Sproutlings want to grow, but it looks sinister, and the clouds are erasing. Centaurus takes down Keto. A is now the main objective, but yet again, Tapson and the boys on the right track to find number 12, find victory, and find the well-needed dust too. And Dennis Reed, good on long speedy, wants nobody from CT to come closer. Forces back Centaurus, if I see this one correctly. Either way, 30 seconds to now turn things around. Merbert starts off good, and the A side belongs to them. Gob with a major failure? Not yet. Either way, pressure is high on Big because it was looking so good. It was a 3 versus 5, and there he strikes. Centaurus is next, and that's a major mistake. Sirason, good night for you. Good night for you. There it is. Eyes closed. And 12 to 10 it is.
He was dabbing, trying to get away, but it's not happening.
Skr.
3K. Centaurus comes in and skirts all over him, as it's a 3K for him, putting him on 17 kills. And again, top fragging for the Big Clan side. He's been having a phenomenal series across the last 2 maps. and it's set to stay the same here. But one thing you can say, things are starting to return to normality a little bit. You've got Favin and Searson up there towards the top. Murbit doing a pretty decent amount of damage, but the real problem that we're having is the fact that Keto and Spitty are finding it very slow to start compared to their performances on the last 2 maps, one each. Oh, and a timeout actually comes through. It's going to turn into a technical, as we've just seen, I think, Keto bail out of here.
And not into it anymore. It was a funny story about, actually, I think it was Ince, who had a problem that 2 PCs always crashed simultaneously, like 5 to 4 times on one map. I don't know how that works. I really don't know if that's some Brazilian magic. Either way, I think we can quickly talk about what we have experienced so fast. If you just joined us, Overpass was a German meat grinder where, well, it was Gob making some fresh sucuk out of sprouts. Next up, it was Mirage going the way after the little plants, and ever since Big Clan on the CT side, dominance belongs to them. An advanced look at the statistics tells us that Sirasan, though, plays a pivotal role, or more likely played a pivotal role on the CT side. But now, things start to look a little sinister. They start to look a little dark. Tapson asks for not unpausing, probably one of the toilets. And the thing I'm asking myself right now, if they're actually in the team house at Berlin or not, if they're actually sitting together or not, would be interesting to know.
I do not know.
I mean, I don't know either.
Let's pretend they are. Pretend they're turned around talking to each other in person right now. No, it's a technical pause. Of course, they're not allowed to talk.
Yeah.
Do stare at their monitors and be very quiet. And that's 100% what both teams are doing.
I have to say the team house is very beautiful, actually. I was there 2 weeks ago. Very, very beautiful place. Very nice. Very good for a LAN. I think you would probably look very, very focused at your monitor if you would play there.
Fair enough. I wonder what the... so we were talking a little bit before this, right? And although the majority of rounds for Big are picked up on their terrorist side here on Dust,
yeah,
it does seem to be a case that they very frequently end up starting on the terror side and then lose the map relatively one-sided. They've had a lot of one-sided losses, so with that coming through, obviously not as many CTs on the board. I feel like they do look better in the CT in general, and it's held up in this matchup so far. The fact that they've been able to recover things. And starting it out, Sprout get another full buy. This is one of their last chances, really. Their economy's starting to go very low, and Tabson taking Spitty out. That's one hell of a way to start it for Big. That's one hell of a way to bring it back, I suppose, as well. Then it just turns his back. Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, that looked like an annihilation back in middle. Painful it is, and there the smokes land towards A. Gob is once more proven the SG is a valuable weapon and a right and good tool. In combination with Xantaris, things might look quite sunny for Big yet again, as they're trying to make it nothing else than a 13-2. But what a shot from Faven. Puts it back in a man equalized situation. Xantaris with a spray down, and Faven, is he on a pedestal? Yes, he is. Too high, too tall, and Xantaris just too good. 13-10, and Sprout. Losing bonus is there yet again and again and again, but struggles are here.
That's another 3K from Xantaris, further cementing our point about him being one of the most pivotal players on that Big Clan side across this entire series. They call another timeout, despite having plenty of cash in the bag. And I like this from Big. You know, they've been consistently using their timeouts smart. They're not waiting until they're losing multiple rounds in a row and then calling the timeout to stop the tilt. They avoid that situation coming through altogether, getting a read on what their opponents are going to have economically.
Interesting. Okay.
So pistols and armor here bites the economy down low, but with the loss bonus, it's not going to be too terrible. Keto, I assume, is going to buy a pistol instead of Glock armor. That would be unusual.
I would have expected a little more.
From Keto?
No, from the spy here.
Okay.
It looked overall like more opportunities would have been there, but yeah.
Oh, I thought even Searson would take a scout. But obviously he wants to take the AWP in the next round, so saving over the cash. And they're very much, it's a weird situation. They're very much focused on the next round, but they do eat their economy pretty low for utility in the next round. There's just a low down. One kill to be traded back. Tizzy is tearing him apart. He's got a 4K. Get the ace. Get the ace, Tizzy. Oh, no. Why you got to do that, Favin?
No idea. I mean, TCN in this situation looked like a promising ace could go his way, but he got to be all right. It's 4. I'll leave the rest to you, Gob.
Toxic Favin doesn't want him to ace.
This Favin guy, I swear, right?
Get him out of here.
If you have no clue actually about the German scene, if you have your personal list of players you will see go advance in the future, put Favin on the list. Trust me, and put Favin and now a very unknown player, Defran, but that's a different story. He's, by the way, playing at the big academy team. So Defran, Favin, 2 players to look out for. In the meantime, we got to look out for a possibility of a 16-0.
Searson's already gone. It's the opening duel again going to big. And this is something that's consistently gone down for them as they started out the CT side. Sometimes we've even seen Sprout pull things back with 1-for-1 trades to start it off, but then things have spiraled out of control. They've yet to win more than 1 terrorist side round, and that was round number 3, the first buy that came through. It's been a long time since that. And although they've looked close in 1 or 2 rounds since then, it's majority of the time just been a dominant showing. I love this setup. Yeah, Dennis doesn't get the kill. He gets the tag, though, and they're definitely not going to expect Centaurus to be here, but the Molotov actually catches him, pushing him down into the open and the 36 HP. Sprout behind in the man advantage, but ahead in HP.
Had an HP indeed. I mean, the damage dealt is quite painful. Favin standing in the flames a little too long, and then it's failed yet again. Same goes for Tizian. And so the approach towards the B site, successful. The molly, yikes. Either way. Does Gob call it off already? He does, doesn't he?
The Terrorist is still aggressing through
Yeah.
tunnels. Oh, there we go. He stops eventually. I think he's kind of pushing towards tunnels. Going, really? We're saving? Are we really saving?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It looked very confusing there in the end, but that's the way it goes.
Well, again, making the smarter decisions, keeping the economy stacked up as much as possible. They've got 2 players very high on cash. Gobby and Tabson. Bringing forward weapons just allows them to be stacked up a little bit more. Now, they do still need to bring these through. The other side of the coin is that Sprout don't really have the cash to go hunting. Even despite that, Murbit is getting aggressive up through short. He's in a lot of danger there. Centaurus holding down in T-spawn shouldn't be contacted. I think they'll just save outside. Yeah. I'm really worried about Murbit, though. He finds 1 kill onto Tapson. That's the AWP taken down. And Gobby doesn't want to aggress out to try and find that trade, as it's just not worth it. That's the one thing I really like about Big, and Gobby in particular. A lot of players make the decision of going for exits when, if they get 2 to 3 kills, it will do nothing to their opponent's economy or very little. But if they lose their weapon, they get screwed over and they don't have a full buy in the next round, and they still do it. Whereas Gobby is yeah, we can afford to peek. He could peek there and still get a buyout or someone drop him a weapon, but no, he plays passive to future-proof it. He doesn't want to play down to the wire of the economy. You give yourself as much buffer as you possibly can.
Right. And Big Clan, if there's one thing they want right now, it's just close this chapter. Mirage was not their strongest display, not one of their strongest maps either. Overpass, I think we don't even need to discuss here, Mitch. So, that's dangerous. Dennis, height advantage, and that's the bomb. Now needs to alarm his teammate. TCN chimes in when needed, and that's the contribution you need. The triple for young Feldbush to find them all. And so, Sprout on the back foot yet again. Keto can say good luck, have fun, but that's how you hold down the B side. A perfection system. And Gob's gonna be like, well done.
Very accurate impression.
Yeah,
He doesn't know 1v4. I don't know how I'm feeling here. It's
me neither.
45 seconds left. 3 players just lined up on that doorway. They're not giving him all too much opportunity. His best chance probably to take Gob B and get out of there, but he's no idea Gob's coming behind him. Doesn't matter. Dennis just straight peeks and finds that frag. 15 to 11. Sprout don't have a great buy. They're able to take out weapons on 4 players. Spitty's going to be a little bit low, and I don't think anybody's dropping him just yet. It's going to be a weaker weapon thrown over to him. I think they were contemplating maybe Searson glass cannoning and giving him an AK, but instead Spitty takes the scout. Armor alongside and a little bit of utility. It's not a great buy, especially not from map and series point.
Definitely not. I mean, this is unsatisfying as hell. And a Nate going deeper. Mermaid is not profiting from that. And I mean, this is a big alarm that's going over along, isn't it? Quad, or no, actually all 5 players separated around Pit and the blue box. And they mean business, don't they? And in the meantime, take a look. If Sataris is fast enough, I would start to be worried right now as Sprout. Does anybody check their back, Mitch? Hito does.
Walks through the doorway at the wrong time, though. That timing is horrendous. As Antares has all the control up behind. He's Molotov'd off, so he can't aggress forward. But they need to make a move. They're forced into pushing right now. They'll have to worry about that flank in just a couple of seconds. The kill's going down in their favor. This is starting to look a little bit better, at least. As a 3 versus 4 develops, players push completely back off the bomb side. It's CT control with Zantares coming in through short. He's going to start to hurry up. Needs to get over to help his teammates pretty soon.
The gap is so devastating, Mitch. They don't have any further smokes.
Oh no. They've jumped over at least 2 players towards the bomb side. Bomb is there as well, so it shouldn't matter too much. Thavin finds a kill on Zantares. Tabson goes up above the smoke.
Oh no.
Above the wall, but he's spotted. And that's going to be the end of the round. I mean, Molotov'd off. There's pretty much nothing they can do at this point. Tabson grouped up on 3 players peeking him above and beside him. Nothing you can do there with an AWP. Not enough time to even fire those shots off. So 15-12, Sprout pulled that back. But again, thanks to the economic management of Big, they only have to take 1 weaker buy here. And they can take a couple of pistols out and still get a full buy in the next. So it's not the end of the world for them. But it is certainly going to close in that gap. And Sprout are close to finding an overtime. They're only like a full buy and a forced buy away from it.
Yeah, and there's a thing I really hate to mention because I never really want to point out individuals doing badly, but both Keto and Speedy have not reached double-digit frags yet to come and step up, period. I think there's no real discussion about it. As though this round should not determine the story of Dust 2. We have seen very interesting and diversified play. I think that's a very good word for that. Very diverse plays. And in the meantime, Keto and Co remain patient. They don't want to do any mistakes. No flaws allowed. So over short, and that was also over tunnels. Good control gained. No. Look at the control, Mitch.
And they've got everything to work with there. Bailing out. Now they can stack up towards A if they want to. Tizian's cautious, though. He's been pushed back off mid.
And if they right now keep in the close range duels, I see things getting quite chaotic over on the side. The flashbang is there. Was actually a team hit coming in. Uncomfortable, you could call it. Damage dealt. And suddenly everybody is coming onto the A side. We're still talking about pistols, though. The boost tonight got there for a known, and he can pray to find anything further as he's looking for any shots anymore. Cirrus onto his right-hand side is eliminated. Either way, not going to happen. Not gonna happen, as though 2 fall down.
That's also the first round that Sprout have strung together over on their terrorist side. They've got 2 more to go, though, and Big this time going to be getting a full investment in, and if they lose this, then a force buy. So it's definitely not the easiest road to victory for Sprout, but it is there. There are chances for them to do it. They've got full AKs and AWP out, full util to work with as well. And started to do a little bit better early round. The opening kills swinging their way a total of 11 times with 13 on the board.
In the meantime, I mean, things are still not looking that sunny for Big, to be very honest. Attack Dennis, sure, he has the op, so 1 shot needs to be anyway, but overall, no control gains, and short in a matter of seconds belongs to Sprout. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of that yet, but either way, Sprout is sticking to the plan, and Goppy is a man who I know, and I would be 100% convinced that he knows what's happening within his team structure. But the focus of Sprout shifts over to B, and they lean towards the position of Dennis.
Let down to 46 earlier on. AWP trained on the tunnels. Peeking out here is going to be difficult if they don't at least have some utility to work with. I think Murbit's going to try to bait for the Opera. Searson is there. No, Searson's just going to dry peek it. Okay, he gets taken down.
No.
Eventually the flash goes through. Smoke as well, but Dennis is just going to keep on spamming, and eventually he finds another on Nikito, relocating himself, and there it is. The final shot onto Murbit closes it out 16-13. Man, oh man, it was a close series though.
Oh, well, Mish, this was an absolutely insane nail biter. We're heading into a little break, and you better don't go anywhere. It's Mouse versus VP up next, so stick tuned for another banger match.
Charge up your game with excitement. Highest odds on the market. Coverage of all live and pre-match events. Place your bets with Solid Bookmaker and win with your favorite teams. Take what's rightfully yours with GG.bet.